All right. This is Esperanto Sabbatical. Disclaimer, I am not a guru, a politician, I am not a journalist, I'm none of those, but I want us to talk about what is going on in Niger, what happened in Niger, because I think, as the world picks its interest on it, it's important to understand the root cause of all that has happened and is happening now and will happen in the future, because I don't think this crisis will end now or probably maybe not in the near future, I think I was in Nigeria. No, sorry, I was in Togo when the coup happened in Niger. And then I set my itineraries, from Nigeria, from Togo to go to Benin, and then Benin, I will be in Nigeria, and then spend some time there, and then I was gonna go to Niger. But again, I think fate had a different plan for me. I never really got to go because obviously of the coup. Let's talk about the coup. Well, President-elect was removed by military, as it seemed to have become customs, in Africa, But was it coming? Was it forthcoming? Was it coming? I would say yes, definitely it was coming, and there will be many more coup or removal, forceful removal of power, whatever English word you use to describe one leader being toppled by the army or by something else. Now, for those who do not understand or do not know what's going on, it's worth noting that Niger is part of ECOWAS, which is like economical communities of Western Africa, blah, 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 blah. But besides being part of ECOWAS, it's also part of the franc zone, the franc zone, which is a group, or which is an association of former French colonies of West Africa, for the Western African region, and then you also have Central African, but they call zone franc zone. And since independence, or since an illusion of what was independence, France has sort of maintained an influence in the region, to the extent that I think the currency was pegged automatically to the French currency, but in a deficit way. And then I will be unbiased, but I will also be a realist, because I have to tell you the truth. I think the Niger, as it is the case also for Mali and Burkina Faso and all the other former French colonies, they've always felt that they've gotten the short hand of the stick. Now, is it true that they have? I would say yes, in a sense, because the rapport between France and Niger has never been of equal to equal. It's more still like a master to a servant, or to a servant kind of rapport. And as rich in mineral as Niger is, for those who have never been there before the coup or some times ago, it's still a little bit underdeveloped. So Niger, which is part of the ECOWAS, meaning it adheres to the chart or the memorandum that they have within West African nations, also still has franc to deal with, this franc zone, and then still has France. And then France has a poor image in Africa. I have to say it because I have traveled and then I have seen it, and there is this sense of anger and not animosity, but there's just this rage against France that most French colonies are harboring, that it can only make sense that anything that represents France is not welcome anywhere, Niger included. Now, Niger president is toppled and he was seen by so many as a French puppet for all this long. And now the generals are in place, and there is open tension between Niger and France. That's where we are. France still want to get control of Niger, and I don't think it really is happening, because what is happening now, I sense it, is that there's Nigerian and Nigerian are more than determined to get rid of France, as was the case in Burkina Faso and Mali. And France is not having any of this. They still want to maintain a foothold in Niger. But why? Why exactly is France so obsessed with Niger? That is the question. Now, for those who are following day-to-day politics, will understand that, will know that there is an open war between the West and then Russia, NATO blocks versus Russia over Ukraine. And then there are sanctions on Russian oil, gas. At least on paper there are sanctions, because obviously some of these countries, France included, are still buying behind closed doors. You know how politics is. You say one thing and then you do the other. So now Niger represents the hope for France and Western nations to free themselves somehow from Nigerian gas, from Russian gas and oil. And you have pipelines, if I'm not mistaken, that are supposed to leave Nigeria and Benin, and I don't know which other country, and those pipelines are going all the way to Europe with gas and oil. So Niger is kind of like a hotspot. It's a bit like the Ukraine of Africa in a sense, because it connects, resources to France. So now with France losing control of Niger, it means they might just lose control of the resources that are supposed to pass under Niger soil, and they will not have it. Now, what are they doing? Well, first thing first, they are trying by any means necessary to maintain a foothold. I think diplomatic ways are failing bit by bit, and I think, they will probably engage militarily in days to come. But now, for a country like France, which has a tarnished image, I'm sorry to say it. I have French friends, I understand them, je vous aime beaucoup. But the reality is, those acting in the so-called interest of France, which is the president and the multinationals, are really not helping the French cause here. With such tarnished image, I don't think it will be ideal for France to keep on engaging Niger. But again, I do understand that they do not want to get rid or be forcefully removed from their influence, as it has been the case again in Burkina and Mali. Now, having explained what is happening between France and Niger, what do I think the possible outcome to this is? I think we're at the century where Africa is fighting for an equal voice and equal opportunity on a global market. And it will be arrogant of France to think that they can still use the same old methods to get the same results, because the Africans that you see today are, how do I say this, are very aware of the situations under which they've been put by colonial rules, and they don't want to go back there. So it will be ideal to engage on a one-on-one, honest conversation, with Niger leaders, and see how to resolve this crisis as peacefully as possible. But I think gone are the time for Africa where they just had to give away their resources, you know, without fighting for it. I think that time has really gone, and I don't think it will be in any interest to France or any other powers to think that they can just, you know, come and then demand something and then it being given over to them. And yes, but the point is, will Niger, Burkina, and Mali stay strong and then fight against the influence of France and other superpowers? That is the question that remains to be answered, because we've known that wherever they've gone, I mean, like multinationals hidden behind government, they have never left willingly. And even when they did, you know, there was always a trap. So there will be a trap, and I don't think Niger will be just left alone, you know, to thrive or to prosper. I'm sure there's going to be an alienation internationally, but there is going to be something definitely to watch out for. But I pray for peace. You know, I hope there is peace, because Niger is still part of, you know, well, part of us as African or people from African origin, and what is happening there is pretty much affecting us all. And yes, so we hope for the best, and then we hope for a diplomatic solution, and we hope that Nigeria really reconsider, you know, its stance on the Niger, because remember, you know, I understand that, you know, ECOWAS wants to get involved. They want to get involved. They want to restore peace, but you do not impose peace. You don't impose dialogue. You don't impose negotiations. You go to it willingly and then see if you can help in any way. But bringing in force will really not help, because what I think is happening is, remember, you know, if ECOWAS were to send its forces in Niger, do you really think that, you know, those forces will just be there and then they will just be there? No, you know, what happened is, it's a bit like a game of football, you know. You will go there, you will attack them, but they might come back, and they will come back. And when they come back, it will cause further instability in the region. And that is something that one should not really look forward to, because, you know, I have seen war and it's very ugly. It's no, it's not something that you want to see. And let's pray for hope, and then I pray that we find a resolution, you know, where Niger can be truly independent. I mean, truly independent, and own its resources. I know it's far-fetched, but if at least, you know, they can have control over what they want and how they want to be governed, I think that will be an achievement. So I'll be back again with my analysis on so many topics, but please subscribe, like, share, and do not forget, I will be uploading a bit more frequently, and then stay tuned to Esperance on Sabbatical. Bye.